something I've been thinking a lot about in my own life, my own business, and looking at being aware of where energy is going and what is the motivation behind where energy is going. There's time energy, there's money energy, there's mental energy and emotional energy, right? Where are we focusing and what is taking up your energy? Where are you putting that energy? And to me, I see this energy as something very precious. And I'm finding that I'm more and more aware of just how precious our energy is, our time energy, our money energy, your mind energy, your emotional energy, your physical energy, and wanting to really hone that and work with that as mindfully as possible, and really stepping into leadership of your energy, which of course I know you work on and working on in lots of ways. And today I want to just fine tune it. I want to seal up and have a review and reflect and step into a container today to really review. And as always, I like to look at this from the place of the witness, from the observer, not from a place of judgment or criticism, or I should be doing better, or I'm not good enough. None of that. We're not bringing in that critical voice in. We are just witnessing, like almost like if you were to have someone come and survey you, be like, where is all this time going? And where is all this energy going? I was thinking that, sometimes let's say you have a leak in your home and you would hire a plumber. You hire a plumber to come in and find the source of the leak. You may not know where the source of the leak is, but we need to identify the source of the leak to understand, where the root of the issue is. And so for me, that's a big part of what we're doing here with the Living Abundance work and Money Manifestation Mastery, is becoming our own inner plumbers, figuring out where those leaks are and learning how to seal up the leaks and fine-tuning, focusing your energy. And of course, it's an ongoing cycle of evolution, right? It's not just about you're doing one thing one day and radically changing it the next day. It's usually a process of growth, of evolution, of fine-tuning and refining. And really about also getting clear on your values and what's important to you. And sometimes where your values are and what's important to you, I find, for me anyways, personally, they grow and they develop and they change over time. So there may be something that was really important to you at one point in your life, and that shifts and changes depending on what you want and where you're going. So I do think it needs to be reviewed and looked at and checked. For example, there was a time where, giving a lot of time and attention to my children was very important. And now they're older, they're teenagers. I'm like, got this shift in focus, shift in where I'm putting my attention and where I'm putting my time. And it's sometimes like, we have habits of doing things, or we just default into doing things because that's just what we do or how we've done. And what I like to do is really review and keep tapping back in and tuning into, well, where am I going? What do I want now? And what do I want, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? So we want to start thinking about that future that you're wanting to build. I call it the future wealthy you. I believe you are already very wealthy in so many ways, but it's that wealth, that next level of wealth that you want to create, inner wealth, outer wealth. And we need to start focusing on that now. What are we focusing on now? What are you doing now in order to create that desired outcome? So what's really interesting is to kind of do a review of time leaks, energy leaks, focus leaks, and try to seal those up and focus on your fortune. So this is a discipline and a practice, and one where you can just start to be aware. Like you could even do a time and attention audit on yourself over a week and think, okay, this is, what do I want? Where are we going? And then where am I actually focusing my energy through the day and time energy in the day? And where is that coming from? And what is the most kind of focused, direct path? Where do I need to focus my attention? What's the aligned action? And is my action that I'm taking aligned with what I want? So is my focus feeding my future, or is my focus pulling away from that future? Because what I've found, at least personally, is the wounding or the money leaks or the trauma wounds can pull, it kind of almost pulls back into the past, right? Where you're focusing maybe on the past or the present or future tripping based on past programming, rather than really focusing on what is it that actually aligned. So our natural default will be to do things, think about things that aren't necessarily what you actually really want. And that takes a bit more focus, and that takes a bit more discipline. And it's sort of retraining yourself and up-leveling what you're doing and how you're doing it. So I believe we're constantly evolving and growing and fine-tuning and refining. It's not about perfect. It's not about, doing it or not doing it, succeeding and failing. It's more about creating habits, new healthy habits, and then checking in, right? Because there's a lot of things that, future wealth you, in order to bridge that gap between where you are now and where you want to be, there's going to be things you need to do that you don't want to do. There's going to be things you need to start doing that you don't actually want to do, or that feel uncomfortable, or that you don't know how to do. And there'll be things that you like doing that you also need to let go of or do less of. And I find that can be the challenge as well. It's like, oh, but I like this thing. Like, I don't want to give that up, or, so it's really about tuning in and getting really self-honest. And I like to do this from a deep, rich, connected place. It's really tuned into your body, your heart, your soul, your vision, that future vision, and tap in and not assume anything, because our mind will tell us all sorts of really interesting stories about what's true and what's not true. And so for me, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. What does the deep, rich, wise part of me have to say about this? And that deep, rich, wise part, that I always kind of like to think lives in the belly, lives in those like deep depths of the self. What is that part of you now? What is your mind telling you? And what is the deep, wealthy, wise wisdom inside telling you? And they're not necessarily telling you the same thing. So my practice and my point of view is that our mind needs to bow down to the belly. Our mind needs to bow down to the earth and go into very deep listening and soulful service, and to service to the deeper, richer wealth that is calling you forward, which is immensely powerful. And it's not always going to be comfortable. In fact, I find it's mostly not comfortable, at least at the beginning, as you're getting used to a new way of doing things. So that's a challenge in itself, isn't it? That you may be being asked to do things that feel uncomfortable. You may be asked to let go of things that feel uncomfortable. And what I find is, if you're super clear on what you want, why you want it, where you're going, and you're committed to creating an alignment with that vision, that purpose, that desire, then it's okay. It's like that short-term pain, long-term gain. You're willing to go through those pain portals to prosperity. And for me, it's about just getting really, really clear on that. So not comfortable. And as I'm sure you know very well by now, like going through any kind of change can be immensely uncomfortable. And I've been thinking a lot about the fact that mastery, or money manifestation mastery, is really about your capacity to hold yourself in the unknown and hold yourself through periods of immense discomfort. I mean, to be honest, I'm in that pretty much all of the time. And then there's periods of like, oh, and then it's like intensity again. It's like being in a pressure cooker all the time. Like, this is like being in a pressure cooker all the time. And I was thinking of tuning in, I'm like, is it ever not a pressure cooker? And my guidance is always like, if you surrender, is you shut the fuck up and surrender. My guidance doesn't speak like that to me. But basically, if you stop fighting it, it will stop feeling quite as hard. It's in the fight of it. It's the resistance, the kind of the fight against yourself that I think makes it most uncomfortable. So anyway, it's all a choice. And I think it's really important to remember that it's a choice and you get to choose. But what I find is that, for me anyways, personally, I have to re-choose every day. That's part of the practice, because the default is going to be to want to do all the things, my default is usually avoidance patterns or like doing all the other things, or, oh, I've enjoyed, I want to do more, I don't know, walking in nature today rather than something that feels uncomfortable. So it's really about deep listening to yourself, deep honoring of your vision, checking in with yourself, really checking in with yourself, and being willing to to look and then look again. So it's like the willingness to constantly let go. And in a way, what's the word I want to use? The word I want to use is to redefine yourself. Be willing to redefine yourself every day. And I wanted to say, be willing to be wrong, that, and it's not about being wrong, but there would have been a point of view that you've had or a way of doing things that at a time was right for you. And then as you're constantly evolving and growing and transitioning, that same thing that maybe at one point was right is now no longer in alignment. So it's not that it's right or wrong. It's just that there was a choice you made or a thing that you did that was right for a time. And now it's just time to evolve and to grow and expand and to change, essentially. And so I would say be willing to redefine yourself and constantly redefine yourself, which means there's a death of the old. There's always a death happening. So I've been really feeling what I feel pretty much all the time is for every gain, there is a loss. For everything you want, there'll be something to let go. For every birth, there will be a death. And we're constantly cycling through these sort of like death and rebirth experiences. And if you're following that heart, body, soul aligned wealth creation or creating your life, right, really in alignment with your true power, your true essence, and wanting to kind of push up against the edges of what's possible, because really that's what we're doing. We're like, oh my God, what's this great adventure, right? And it's an adventure and it's a choice. It's like traveling. So remember, it's a choice and you have agency to a degree. Sometimes I think if something is like, this needs to happen now, we can fight it, and eventually you have to face it anyway. So I find it's much better to be on the front foot, but it's still a choice. And I believe it needs to be rechosen every day and recommit to yourself every day. And because to basically that rewiring to receive, reprogramming yourself into a new way of thinking, a new way of doing, which also means sometimes a new point of view, a new perspective. I just think that's endlessly fascinating. The version of myself 10 years ago had very different beliefs and thoughts and ideas to me now, and also to the version of me 10 years into the future. They're different. I gather gold from all these parts, but they're different. They think differently, they do differently, they have a different point of view, and but they're all parts of the self. So again, it's all a choice. I think it's a great adventure of evolution and exploration. But my choice is to tap into future wealthy money, right? Into that future wealthy vision. What are you wanting to create moving forward, right? And focus forward, right? Focus on your fortune. But that's also very intense because you're really going into the unknown all the time. So I got this image of this point, and my guidance has been showing me it's like you're like a point, like how the birds fly in a flock, and I'm the head bird, and then it creates this kind of wake, right? But it's like kind of going focused into the future, the unknown, and it requires that kind of vision and focus. And those birds, how do they know where to go? But there's an instinct that's like calling them into migration. I think it's extraordinary. They just know, right? And that's really what we have to that's the discipline, because it's the easiest thing is just to default into just what you do, right? It's harder to go focus on your fortune, focus on moving forward. So this is something I've been sitting with very deeply all the time, but particularly the last couple of weeks, and really interested in. So there's this focus, right? The flow of energy that is guiding you forth, that's aligned with your heart, body, soul. That's actually where the flow is, but also all of the patterns and strategies that you have, the default that wants to pull you out of that, right? And the focus it takes, I was thinking, God, this takes so much focus to stay focused in what looks like nothingness, like the void of the unknown. And our brains, on a neuroscience level, just really struggle with that. It just kicks off all our survival stuff. And the discipline it takes to stay focused on actually what you want, especially if it doesn't exist yet. I mean, that is to me, that is really mastery level. And then the immense discomfort that you go through when you're stepping into the unknown, it's very uncomfortable. It's mentally uncomfortable, emotionally uncomfortable, physically uncomfortable. And also uncomfortable in terms of you transitioning through, dynamics, relationships, how you do things, your team, your family, friends, clients, whatever, right? You're evolving and growing. And then life is like, you have to kind of adjust, or life adjusts to you. So all that being said, what I've been really hyper-focused on at the minute is looking at energy leaks. So there's this focus, there's the flow of energy that's trying to pull you forward, which I believe is, your soul's purpose, your body wisdom, your inner knowing, that part of you that's interconnected with the planet, interconnected with all of life, and that has a much bigger idea for you than maybe your current level of thinking, right? Your potential, your purpose, and then where your energy goes, right? Which tends to pull out because it's like, whoa, what is that unknown, scary thing? So I want to focus today just on energy leaks. So there's the focus of the flow of where you're going, right? Into the unknown, pioneering, creating new pathways, propelling forward. And then there is the default and the old, and kind of like what we're alchemizing, what we're letting go of as you're pulling forward. But that letting go of the past, maybe it's old trauma, old wounds, old ways of doing things, old family dynamics, or your present day reality, present day thinking, can pull all your energy away from that. And that's what I find happens very naturally without trying. So what we want to do is have a little look, be the inspector, go in like with curiosity. So if I'm wanting to focus here, this is the result that I want to create that is aligned. We've really tuned in. It's aligned with what I long for, my heart, my soul, my body, my deepest desires. And then where is my energy going? Is it feeding my future? Am I focusing into my future? Or am I leaking into my past or leaking into present? And what you want to start becoming hyper aware of is, where are you putting your energy? Where are you putting your time energy, your mental energy, your emotional energy, your physical energy? Where are you focusing? And again, my invitation is always from a loving witness. Like, it's fine. Either way, it's okay. It's just like, what am I choosing and where am I choosing that from? And for me, this is the discipline and this is the practice. So what I'd like to do is take you into a little bit of a deeper process, a guided meditation where we can connect with future wealthy you, connect with present day you, and let's have a little tune in, have a little audit and see. And where can you then sort of look at tightening up the hatches of your focus? And in that, there's a real audit of your beliefs, your ideas, your points of views, the stories that you tell yourself, what you believe is or is not possible, and playing on that edge of the unknown and taking those little risks forward. Like, what happens if I do this? What happens if I don't do that? So you could call them boundaries, for sealing up the leaks. And start with kind of almost like little experiments. Like, what happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? Right? The changes that I'm making. So, and then also, what are you being guided to do? What are you being guided to not do? Or what are you being guided to lean into? What are you being guided to step away from? And I don't know about you, but for me, that can create quite a lot of sometimes inner conflict, or I notice that I have to go through like a grieving. There's like a letting go, there's a grieving. It always feels like a loss. I'm like, oh God, but this thing or this friendship or this dynamic or this way. And then the new way is all like unknown. So that's always kind of playing on that level of risk and getting your head around it, right? You want to start getting your head around it. So what I want to say to you is, even whatever you see today, whatever you're seeing now, even in this conversation, it might take your mind a minute to kind of get on board. So you also want to be patient with yourself, but just start thinking new healthy habits. What do I need to start doing? What do I need to stop doing? Where do I need to focus to create the result that I want? And just know that, you know, you'll naturally by default into old habits of behavior. And most of your energy will pull into that because that's just the default hardwiring. And going into the unknown and the new is scary and can feel risky, and everything in your body is going to like react against it. So it is really is a focus. So, and that again, that's a choice and a commitment. So you want to choose and commit each and every day back into focusing on your fortune, focusing on what you want to create. But your fortune is in what is wealth to you and what are you being guided to create. So you get to choose and you get to re-choose and choose again and tune in and fine tune and refine what you're choosing as you go along. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, I thought I wanted that thing. Maybe that's not quite it. What is it then? If it's not quite that, what is it? Right? So we kind of want to keep kind of refining as you go. Distill. All right, my lovelies. So there might be lots of golden nuggets dropping for you already, just in the start of this conversation. And we're going to go in a little bit deeper now. And oh, sometimes my future for me is a bit of a dominatrix, which is why I was giggling. She's a bit like she's got sometimes a little shaman dominatrix, which was just making me giggle because I was just feeling her for a second. So welcome all of you here. We're going to take you into a beautiful process of sealing up your energy leaks, of reviewing and bringing consciousness to your energy, where your energy is flowing, where is it going, and welcoming in your witness, the loving witness, the observer, your consciousness into yourself, into your behavior, into what you're doing or not doing, just to witness yourself. We want to call in and welcome in future wealthy you, the part of you that's already created the financial reality that you desire, that you require. So we want to welcome in the part of you that's already created that wealth. So tapping back into that money goal, that money vision. This may be you 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line. It doesn't need to be the next year. It could be you 12 months down the line. So you could get to decide what future version of yourself you call in, or welcome in the amount of money. And we collapse all timelines. So you don't need to decide how long it's going to take, but just calling in that amount of money and who you are when that money's here. So that future wealthy you, the CEO, the boss, the consultant, the coach, the part of you that's already built it and created it and is living it as their new normal. That part of you, right, who you are when you're in this next level of heart, body, soul aligned power, prosperity, welcoming that part of you here. And we're going to call this part of you in as the witness, the observer, who's going to audit and look and sit with you and reflect. And let's welcome this empowered, wealthy, abundant version of yourself here to sit with present day you, where you are now. And it could be past you, maybe where some of your wounding is, your insecurity is, the part that maybe doesn't feel safe, or doesn't know how. Welcoming to present day you. And we want to invite that part of you to be beside you or stand behind you or be with you as we review and reflect. And take a beautiful deep breath in. We'll ask for future wealthy you to show you the path, the stream, the flow, the current, that wealth frequency, that wealth consciousness that is bridging between where you are now and where you want to be. That consciousness current, where you need to focus to create your fortune. Let's ask this part of you to show you so you can feel it, tap into that wealth flow, that wealth current, that slipstream of energy. It's pulling you forward. It's growing deeper roots down, pulling you into a new, expanded, embodied, empowered, connected version of you. And so we're now going to ask future wealthy you, this wealth consciousness, this wealth frequency, this focused energy that's going to help you to create and start building the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. And tap into this consciousness, this information to ask where you need to be focusing. Your time energy. Your thought energy, your emotional energy, your physical energy. What is aligned with your wealth frequency for you to focus on? And you can look at different parts of your life for this question. We can look at one area. It could be your business, it could be your finances, it could be your health. What is this consciousness guiding you to focus on? Another way of asking this is, what does future wealthy you focus on? How do they think? How do they feel? What do they believe? What are they doing? What is that focus? And stay open, stay curious, and just allow the information to be here. So you can write it down or just get a sense of it. Don't judge it, don't contract against it. Stay curious and stay open. I'm going to give you a few minutes to tune in to that question. Beautiful. So you may wish to have longer with this wealth currents, with your wealth frequency, with future wealthy you, and what to focus on. And I recommend connecting to that part of you every day. Now, what I'd love you to do again with that powerful boss, business owner, a future wealthy you, here to also be with present day you. And I'd like you to have a look at, where does present day you, your sort of default attention, go when it comes to your thought energy, what you're thinking about, your emotional energy, your time energy, your physical energy. Where are you putting your time and your energy currently? And it may be in alignment with where you are. But I would love you to find, where are you leaking your energy? Where are you putting your time and energy into things that are more connected to your past or your present, or a sense of obligation, perhaps, if it's sort of maybe family programs or cultural programs, societal programs? Where's your default focus going? And again, from the neutral observer, staying curious, like, oh, that's interesting, and putting my energy into this. Is that choice, is that focus taking me away from what I want or leading me towards what I want? And this is where you want to really tune in, because sometimes we take detours, as in there's something you need to focus on that doesn't seem connected to business and money, but it's connected, right? It's interconnected, or it's a stepping stone. This is why you want to be the witness, be the observer. Where is your energy going? Where's your focus going? And where are you leaking your precious energy? And you can ask, you can tune in to day-to-day choices, day-to-day decisions, things you've just been doing habitually for a long time. You can do an audit, do a review. Stay curious. So I'd like you to look at now, where is your time energy going? Your mental energy going? Your emotional energy going? Where's your focus going? Your physical energy going? And is that feeding your future, or is it leaking your energy? Is it a hole in your bucket, or is it feeding? And so you can focus on a particular area for this question, business or finances or life. You can go through different parts of your life and just stay curious. What does future wealth in me have to say? Right, just coming with the audit, like where is the no? Where is the yes? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to play with this now, but I would like to invite you to think about this as you go through your day, as you go through your week, as you go through your months, and think about, is this serving me? Is this feeding me, or is this taking away? Then you can look at your attachment to things. You can look at your relationship with what you're doing. So if it's something that's leaking your energy, right? That's super interesting. There's going to be information in there. There'll be a lot of information in where you're leaking your energy as well. But let's just start by seeing, start by witnessing. I'll give you a few minutes to tune into this. Beautiful. So welcoming yourself back. And again, you may want to spend some more time with these questions and just want to bring into your day-to-day to get curious, to review, to reflect, and start building new healthy habits and letting go of ways of doing things that may not be serving you anymore, simply just aren't in alignment with where you're going. And please be patient with yourself as you transition from old ways of doing things into new ways of doing things. And for now, what I recommend is where you know or where you're being guided to focus, put that somewhere on your vision board or somewhere where you can see every day and connect in with it, that version of you that's doing that thing. If there's a new habit that you know you want to be doing that you're not doing, or you know something that you want to be letting go of, what is the healthy fortune focus for you, and just give yourself a little bit of time and patience, because it can take a minute to transition into those new healthy habits and new ways of doing things. And sometimes you're being asked to do something you don't know how to do yet, right? New skills, there might be new training you need to do or new things to learn. So again, that needs time. So lots of patience, lots of compassion, and let that wealth lead you forwards, and all the, lots of holding and lots of love and compassion for the part of you that may struggle to let go, or be quite attached to ways of doing things. And we want to hold that part that say, yes, you can grieve, you can be sad. There is a loss in letting go, and there will be some kind of emotional attachment or some energetic attachment to old ways of doing things. And it's like you cutting the cords or cutting the umbilical cord to maybe a source of energy for you that perhaps was helpful or useful at one point, but it's no longer helping you. It's no longer feeding you. It's leaking. It's pulling away rather than focusing towards. So remember that it takes time to transition from attaching from maybe an old or unhealthy way of doing things into attaching into a new and healthy way of doing things for you. So we want to focus on your fortune, let go of anywhere you're leaking your energy, seal up those energy leaks, and help you to move forward into the future, the life that you truly desire.